Hi everyone, I am Shraddha Mishra. I work at Northern Trust as a Vice President within the Technology Department. I head the APAC Digital Delivery Technology team. An important part of my job is managing critical client-facing application, and that means facing people, uncertain situations, and being on top of them. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience, the learnings from the OB class. Being one-third into the class, it's heartening to think about how we started, and setting up OB class as the first one must have been a masterstroke in the course curriculum, and whoever decided that, really kudos to them. A cornerstone of any learning experience within a large and a dynamic cohort is always gonna be how we learn and appreciate working together as a team. How do we leverage the diversity of perspective that the cohort brings and has to offer, with experiences spanning across industries, constantly challenging our biases and assumptions, and all of it leading to us realizing that the sum of the unit should always be greater than that of the individual stars in the unit, which is really the team. One specific case study and the debrief that I remember having a major impact on me was the HBR Everest Basecamp simulation. This simulation is a very popular educational tool used to teach teamwork, leadership, decision making, and critical thinking. The simulation operates by each member in the team being assigned a specific role in the simulation, and each role having a personal goal of himself or herself, with a larger goal assigned to the team wherein everyone is supposed to reach the Everest Basecamp safely and no one is rescued or evacuated. This specific case study poses the challenge of balancing the individual personal goals with each of our roles and that of the larger team goal, and the output ensuring that the sum of the team is greater than the individual stars in the team. Each role has been provided a different set of instructions, so it is also a very interesting interplay of effective communication and collaboration. Since there were multiple teams doing this simulation together, the group was set up in a very competitive environment, which is usually the case in the real world as well. Now, the key learnings that came out of this simulation and the debrief was very, very insightful. Establishing team norms and values at the start of any problem that the team picks up is very important, and that was the first thing we did when we got together as a team. Role clarity and conflict resolution, and how to navigate that in terms of team dynamics and leadership setup, was again very insightful. We had a situation where two of us were having different views on what one of the roles in the team should do. When hit the team conflict, it's important to ask ourselves, what assumptions are we making? What additional information is it that I'm missing that will help us make that decision appropriately? It helped our group learn about each other's leadership style. We realized that success depends on clear communication and understanding of our individual goals and motivations as well. Listening to diverse views, challenging biases, ensuring crucial information is shared in a timely manner and accurate is a base differentiator with the group that won. In all of this, coming from a curious space and giving ourselves to be taught by someone who is an expert is very important. Psychological safety to the members in the team to put their perspectives on the table and not being downplayed on this is something again that we learned, and it is important to keep that in a constant check. The biggest of all was alignment to the goals and share objectives as a team. At every point, at every level of this game, the simulation, the situation of the outside environment of the team and the health situation of the team members was again important. Flexibility in terms of the team adapting to changing conditions and unexpected challenges, reinforcing the importance of flexibility, reliance in the team dynamics environment. Another thing that we learned was how do we navigate our failures? The simulation often includes scenarios where a team may not succeed. How do we provide a safe space to learn from our mistakes and improve further performance? Resource management was another important thing. Effective management of limited resources, in this case it was the oxygen or the medicine that was available, is a critical aspect. teaching participants the importance of resource allocation and management. There were trade-offs in the process. That meant the need to make trade-offs between competing needs and objectives was a core lesson. Highlighting the complexity of decision-making in constrained environment was another thing that we learned. Overall, the HBR Everest Basecamp simulation offers a very rich, immersive experience that provides valuable insights into team dynamics, leadership, decision-making, risk-taking, strategic thinking, and conflict resolution. These lessons are applicable in various different organization and professional contexts, making the simulation a very powerful tool for personal development. And I've seen that it's been used very heavily in the OB class. In terms of practical application of the learnings in the class that I have used, I can mention 3 specific concepts. The first one being the CSI framework, which is Collaborative Structure Inquiry Framework. It has 4 different steps, which is find, frame, formulate, and solve steps. In the find phase, you identify the team, identify the facilitator, train the team on the CSI framework. Frame phase, you mention the spark, list down all the symptoms, and identify if they are related symptoms, validate them, reach out for a consensus, and categorize the symptoms as if they are people related, they are process related, they are behavioral, if they are related to leadership, etc. In the third phase, which is the formulation phase, you identify the causes, validate the symptoms, and map the causes to the symptoms. In all of these phases, you're not really focusing on the solution. It is in the solution phase where you define the possible solution and present the findings to the sponsors and then come to the implementation of the solution. It's a very powerful framework where we learn how to really distinguish each step and then come to the final solution. We've applied this in the class on the Medisys case study, where Medisys Corp, a small but profitable medical device manufacturing company with an entrepreneurial culture, had focused on fostering innovation thinking, having led numerous positive, promising initiatives at various stages of new system development, was facing a major problem of slowing down of growth and increased competition. Beside that, they had a very new aggressive precedent that had come in. Having applied this in the real world as well, when I took on the responsibility of a new division within digital delivery, where when I came in, there was a team that was set up already with no direct sight of manager having within that space, where the stakeholders probably were not communicating the right expectations with the team just so that they are meeting with a bare bone expectation. I've applied and seen benefits of the CSI framework when I took on the team. Any problem is usually a combination of process, people, behavior, and leadership challenges. I've been able to apply this CSI framework to various problems at work. Any problem is usually a combination of people, process, behavioral, or leadership challenges. This framework taught in our course was very helpful in solving such challenges. Having this framework run by someone who's not biased by his or her personal goal, but the focus on being the ultimate solution is very critical. Listing down the symptoms without focusing on the solution, identifying the root cause of these problems, and then identifying the possible solution by involving the individual stakeholders is a very powerful framework. The second bit that I want to talk about is the framework of trust. Trust as a word is used very widely, but looking at it in the construct of organization behavior and team dynamics was very enriching for me. If you look at trust, it is usually an attribute of competence, integrity, kindness, and familiarity. In any construct with people being new to you or you joining a new team, it takes time to feel confident in your competence and learn about your integrity for anyone. However, familiarity is something that builds over a period of time. Kindness and vulnerability, though, are something that really starts with your first interaction, and that's the beauty of these 4 attributes of trust. That was very empowering for me. I've had situations in my team where senior members of my team have had trust issues with someone new coming in. In fact, some of them had trust issues with someone who had existing in the team for long, and sharing this trust framework with them have been very helpful. I have seen visible difference in behavior of those team members who have learned about this framework. They've identified which of the 4 aspects to focus on. I've shared this tool with my peers who have been facing specific challenges with their global teams, and focusing on the individual aspects of trust which they identify has been very powerful and enabling better outcome and productivity. The third point that I want to talk about is the definition and the characteristics of the team. This is a very interesting one for my whole cohort. A lot of us, as we learned of the team, is usually a set of people who come together to solve a specific problem. We understand how functioning team and how this term itself is very loosely used, and also built an appreciation as we learn this new definition. A lot of us asked the professor that if this is what is the true definition of a team, why are organization not really using and specifically using it the way it should be? And what was interesting was the professor's response that while it might be difficult for him to answer why don't organization function and use this definition, what we should focus on is that we're learning this and how we go back and apply this to our individual jobs so that we can actually create a ripple effect of it. Now, another thing that was very interesting with this team definition was effective measurement of your team is not about deliverables. It's not about what is achieved at the end. While there's some component of this, it is rather how the team builds fundamentals, and are those fundamentals really sustained in the process of achieving its outcome. In case team is not progressing, one must pay effort to ask oneself the question as to why the underlying task is not being done, or what is the purpose they set out to start with. Why are they doing what they are doing? Identifying the purpose of it. What is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Does this problem really solve or need a team? What type of team is really needed to solve this problem? Whether it's a baseball type of team, football type of team, or a tennis doubles. That's an interesting definition solved in the class. Who should be on the team? What is the unique purpose of the team? This needs to be defined by the team actually. What are the team's collective performance objectives over their individual goals? What process will the team implement? What tensions or paradoxes needs to be managed? What cultural norms and values are needed to support the team's goal? Team formulation is totally dependent on the nature of the problem. Trying to solve based on a problem at hand, identifying what is it that needs to be solved, may or may not need to call for a team formulation to execute or solve the problem. In some cases, it's a leadership decision. In case the team is not progressing, one must pay effort to ask ourselves the question as to what is the underlying task or the purpose. Why are we doing what we are doing? Talking about the challenges and adaptations I might have had to apply these learnings in my personal and professional situation and with my peers, I think there were very few. Sharing my learnings with my peer and the team has been very, very helpful and impactful to them and to me as well. I've heard very positive feedback from my manager, from my stakeholders, that they've seen a visible difference in how I've been challenging and asking some of the right questions. While all of this seems very simple and we all are aware of this, the constant focus has to be on challenging our assumptions, asking ourselves, what could I be missing? Asking ourselves, what is the real problem that we're trying to solve, or is it just the symptom? Is it just the layer on the top of the problem? The knowledge and the insights from the organization behavior and design class have been beneficial not just to me and my organization, It has been very helpful to the teams and the people that I mentor. In summary, the most valuable aspects has to be how do we optimize the sum total of the team being greater than that of the individual members in the team. How not to be limited by your own knowledge trap, but leverage the diversity and creativity that others bring in. Diversity is to be managed very carefully. The factors that bind a team together in terms of diversity may also disrupt it, and there are stats to prove this. The third and the last being the psychological safety, willingness to take interpersonal risk within team environment across hierarchies, and building and implementing psychological safety becomes more and more important, having multiple layers. It may lead people to feel not having a psychologically safe environment. Familiarity in team members is a key factor to be ensured for better effectiveness of the team. It is more important than individual experiences within the team. I have continued to apply my learnings, and when I asked my batch, my cohort members, that is it just me who have seen applying these learnings, or is it too early to really say that? Almost everyone shared something where they have applied the concepts from the OB class to their work situation. And with that, I'd like to say thank you.